Hello all, and welcome to our Honeybee painting video. Step 1, go ahead and set up your paint palette so that you have a color and then a space and then another color all the way around your paint palette. I am going to jump right in. I am taking a little bit of my hot pink color that I have and mixing in just a hint of black to make a nice magenta color. Once I have I guess it's more maroon color, I am then going to start applying it to the bottom right of my canvas, and I'm going to kind of triangle it down to the left, making a diagonal that starts up on the right and goes down to the left all the way, pretty much all the way across my canvas. This is basically an underpainting for what will be where our flowers will all be. Okay, now I'm going to be cleaning my brush, and with a nice clean brush, I am going to start taking my paint, a white and a little bit of blue, and I am going to kind of loosely apply it in the sky. I grabbed just a little bit of yellow too because I wanted a little bit of variation, a little bit of a greenish blue. But now I'm going to just start applying it onto the canvas directly, and I'm going to cover the entire surface. I'm keeping my brush strokes short and I'm pulling downwards. This is to make that abstract background that I think is really attractive about Impressionist paintings. Don't be afraid to apply it really thickly too, because the thicker the paint, the more texture you're going to have. All right, your whole canvas should be covered at this point. Okay, I'm going to go back to my magenta color and I'm going to grab my small brush and start making some stems. And I'm just sticking these wherever I think would be nice. There's no right or wrong answer here. The only thing I am doing is I'm having some taller ones towards the outside, and then towards the middle of the magenta hill or maroon hill, I am making them shorter. And that's just to allow some room for the bee. All right, now we're going to get to the fun part, adding the flowers. So I'm just going to mix an orange using the hot pink and the yellow. And I'm going to make a bright, happy, springy orange. And I did tone it down just a little bit with my magenta, but you can keep mixing until you get a color that you like. I probably put too much of the maroon in. And once I have a color that I like, I'm just globbing it on. And I'm just putting them everywhere, just randomly like flowers. Everyone's can be different. So now I'm going to make a green flower by mixing some blue to make that light blue again, and then I will be adding some yellow, making like a nice, rich, dark, not dark, but medium green. Just a springy green, really. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put them randomly. I'm going to apply my paint thick, and I'm going to just put little dots around. The idea is that you will totally cover your maroon hill by the time this is all done. So you want to use lots of paint, and you want to be very aggressive in covering your canvas. And I did just add a little bit more yellow there, and it just made a slight variation of green, which is totally fine and even encouraged, because that will give you more variety. Towards the end of your painting, you'll have various hues of the colors. Now I am going to add some blue flowers. So it's kind of the same step for all of this. You really are just mixing the color you like, and you don't have to do the same exact colors I am doing, but just having a rich variety of colors. This blue is kind of a cerulean color, and I am just adding it on the hill, just any spot that I think needs covering, where I see a lot of the maroon color. And then I'm also, of course, taking it up the stems. I also am not sticking exactly to the stems. Please feel free to put some what I would call floating flowers. The floating flowers will read as being part of the hill, and it will offer a fullness to your painting. Like your painting will look like it is full of wildflowers if you kind of let yourself go outside of the stems. I'm now taking my clean brush that I've cleaned, and I'm going back and mixing a really quite bright kind of orangey pink. It's more pink than orange, I think, but I am now applying that flower color everywhere, putting pops of color. And having lots of different colors is important in this painting. You want to make sure that you've mixed colors that you really like, but you want to make sure that you have lots of different colors too. Okay, so we're adding the bee now, and this is a very simple step. You're just going to basically make like a bean shape for the bee, and then you're going to add a head. And then you're going to put the stripes. So just basically just put a stripe halfway across the body, and then at the end, kind of make that classic bumblebee stripe, honeybee stripe. And then if at any point you feel like your paint is smearing too much, don't be afraid to let it dry for a little bit and then come back. So for instance, I added this yellow color, but my paint was still very wet, so I let it dry for a while. So now I'm going to go back into my flowers and add some hot pink, which is just the hot pink, and I put a little bit of white in it to kind of brighten it. And I'm adding those into my flower field. And this is a really fun painting. You can really do whatever you want at this point. You can add whatever colors you want. If you're someone who just doesn't like pink, you can always use different colors of greens, have just a bunch of greens in the field, or have just a bunch of purple flowers, whatever you want. I just like the bright, happy colors. And then basically I just made dark pink by adding more of the pink to my mixture to just have that truly kind of bright fluorescent pink. And don't be afraid to go over colors that you have already painted. If you feel like you have a lot of one color in one area, you can always kind of layer on top of that. I do that quite a bit, actually. And I have added some floating pink flowers around. Give it that happy, full feeling. Now I'm mixing just a little bit of green and kind of going in and adding just tiny little details, pops, adding some stems to things, adding what maybe could be assumed as like a leaf. Anywhere I think needs a little bit of green. And if you are not a details kind of person, you can skip this step, but I like to go in and just add a little bit of pop of green. It's kind of more of a lime green than my first green, but I think it gives it a richness. And anywhere where I see that maroon, I'm breaking it up visually with different colors of paint. Okay, so I took a little bit of white paint and I tested my bee to see how dry it was, and I decided it was not quite dry enough, so I'm going to allow it to dry just a little bit more. All right, now that I've allowed it to dry just a little bit, I am going to go back in with my yellow and my white. I am mixing a very light, happy yellow, and I am just going to put that light yellow just only on the top half. So I'm going to leave the bottom of the bee darker, and I'm going to put this light yellow on the top. It kind of creates that illusion of roundness. Don't fully cover up whatever yellow you had there, because having different colors of yellow will help it look more realistic and 3D. So I'm zooming in for the bee. For the details on the bee, you of course use your small brush, and the larger things you can use your big brush. I'm going to start with my big brush, and I am pretty much just going to grab some white, and I'm going to start to make the wings. So I'm going to connect to my first yellow patch, and I'm going to make basically a triangle, kind of a slanted triangle, if you will, that gets skinnier as it comes towards the yellow and creates the kind of flat wing shape as it goes out. And that's going to be my bee wing. I am going to put just a little bit of the white on the tail, since it's now dry enough that I can do that. And I'm just kind of cleaning up my yellow areas a little bit. And now I'm taking my little brush, and I'm just going to take some pure black, and starting at the body and kind of pulling away kind of sharply, I'm going to create the legs of the bee. I'm adding just a couple of antennae, and I'm going to pull down some little bee legs. And just making sure to keep them thin. You don't want your bee to look like it has really fat legs when in reality you can barely see a bee's legs. And I'm of course just going to clean up as I go. Anything that I think needs a second coat. Now I'm just picking up a little bit of a dark yellow, and I'm kind of just cleaning up the bottom. And really, you're pretty much done. I'm just kind of doing detail work now, cleaning up things that I've already done. And now I'm just going to add a little pop of white for the eye. And that's your honeybee painting. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun.